Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Anime Sundays, the show where we talk about Anime Sundays. Of course, we have Shonen Showdown here.
What's going on?
And today, as the year is wrapping up, we just wanted to kind of break down some of the greatest fights we've seen in 2023. So today, me and Rob will be picking our top 3 fights of the year. Stay tuned. All right, Rob, you want me to start it off, or how you want to start it off?
Yeah, you go first.
All right, so we know there's a lot of great fights of the year. A lot of good anime dropped. Hell's Paradise, Season 1, Mob Season 3, Demon Slayer, JJK, One Piece. We know there was a lot of great shonen seasons that came in this year. So I just thought maybe it'd be good to give you our top 3 before Crunchyroll obviously drops the nominations and whoever's going to be the winner, of course. For me, at number 3, I have Tanjiro versus Upper 4. I know in the Demon Slayer franchise, a lot of people say that this is not probably the best fight that we've seen. I know a lot of people say Tengen versus and Gyutaro and all that is the better fight, and I agree. But I still think that this was probably one of the most complex fights of trying to kill a demon that we've seen in a minute. Especially because we knew how hard it was just to kill Gyutaro and Daki. We even saw how harder it was to kill Upper 4. Yeah. And I just think the complexity of it, Tanjiro, again, rising up to new heights, getting that flame breathing uncontrolled. He had to make Upper 4 fuse pretty much to take him down. And then even then, Nezuko's sacrificing herself. We find out all this good stuff. So I just think, to me, all in all, it's probably one of the top 3 fights of the year.
It definitely is top 3. But it ain't 3. All right, so at number 3, I wanted to put Gear 5 Luffy versus Kaido here because I think the animation was immaculate. I just don't like the way they paced the fight. They were throwing a lot of filler moments and a lot of other side moments. I wasn't really hyped with what Toei was doing, but the scenes we did get of Gear 5 Luffy going up against Kaido, I think were 10 out of 10 amazing. I think obviously what they did with the lightning attack, Gomu Gomu no Kaminari, was amazing. I love that stuff, but we just did not enjoy the pacing, at least for me. So with that being said, I think I have to go with Ichibe going up against Yuha, aka Yuobak, in Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War, man. I think just seeing them, and obviously the fight hasn't been completed, but just seeing 2 legends match up with each other and seeing how they're trying to outwit each other is just unbelievable. To the point where you have Yuha sitting there trying to gather all the reishi, all of that from the surrounding Quincy's that he swore to protect, right? And then you're seeing Ichibe, listen, his Bankai is out of this world. Yeah. His techniques are out of this world, to the point where, Yuba can't talk, he can't move, he can't do certain things. He's sealing him off. And just seeing a fight of this magnitude in the Bleach verse is just super, super exciting. Yeah. So that's what I have to put on number 3.
Rob. Bleach had a lot of great fights. I definitely respect it being number 3. Even Yuak versus Yamamoto earlier. I don't know if that was still this year, but Kenpachi versus Grammy. Everybody had a good little showing. Rukia's Bankai was involved. But yeah, I'm not mad at that. On number 2, I'm going to go with a One Piece fight. And to me, I just feel like overall, Zoro versus King was probably the best Wano fight. I had a hard time struggling with the worst gen versus Big Mom and Kaido because we saw so much, like the tag team with Law and Kid and, Luffy going back to Gear 4, and then he had the Conqueror's coding. If you consider like the first part of Luffy versus Kaido with the Conqueror's coding, but I feel like that part was kind of so small that we didn't really, if they had started out with that instead of, and it was Luffy, Conqueror's coding versus Kaido, and they were going crazy from the jump, I felt like maybe I would have put that instead. But I just feel like Zoro vs. King was just they did that way better than what we saw in the manga. I gotta tell you right now, from, Enma and Zoro jumping off the rocks and the dragons flying out the sky. We made a whole skit about how, they were really going super hard for Zoro.
Absolutely. They did. They put in a lot of work.
Yeah. Even Queen and Sanji, I was really hyped to see Sanji do his thing, but I always say that Sanji really, as soon as he unlocked his, German genes, he really wasn't struggling with Queen no more. It was kind of all right, let me get bro out of here so he don't hurt no women. So, at number 2, I have Zoro versus King.
I definitely agree that fight was hype. At number 2, I have to go with the Demon Slayer fight that you had at 3. For all the reasons you so eloquently broke down, but I just think that, the animation that Ufotable, aka Ufotable, has been putting out there is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Every time they get their hands on Demon Slayer, it just looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I mean, it's to the point that Demon Slayer has been dropping episodes in theaters, not just movies. Now they're putting episodes in there. So yeah, that tells you something.
Yeah.
Complete masterpiece. The pacing of the fight was great. The complexity of the fight was great. Seeing all the different variations of Upper Moon 4, and that really does help paint the picture for what's to come. So definitely love that fight. That has to be number 2. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of my number 1 spot, we know JJK has been kind of running the scene a little bit, especially this bottom half of the year.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go Sukuna versus Maharaga. I mean, I know there's also a lot of great fights in there. You have, Yuji and Toto versus Mahito. You have Yuji versus Choso. I think when it comes to maybe a more technical and JJK is famous for their technicalities in the middle of battle. Yeah, maybe I would give that to Yuji versus Choso. But when you're just talking about a good old-fashioned throwing hands, destroying the city, lives are getting wrecked, chaotic, funny as well. You got Sukuna eating popcorn as he's getting tossed through buildings. I think that just takes the cake as fight of the year. I mean, some people said it was a little rushed. Said Mappa workers didn't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
But even with the way they were doing it, I felt like, everything down to the domain expansion. The only other fight that I would say was even close was Jogo versus Sukuna. But since Sukuna was making such light work of him, I kind of felt like, I have to give it to Maharaga because your man's is really tanking a domain expansion like it's nothing, And I know manga readers, you said they even made Maharaga look more buffed in this fight than he was in the manga.
Yeah.
So for me, I got to give it to that one as the number 1 fight.
I mean, you broke down both of my points on why I have Sukuna versus Jogo at number 1. You got to remember, right? As you said, Mappa was worked to the bone. So by the time they got to your number 1 fight, they were tired.
Yeah.
But Sukuna versus Jogo, they had energy.
Yeah.
They're ready to go.
Really good,
and I think one of my favorite things is even though Sukuna knew that he so much superiorly outclassed a Jogo, he made it his mission to say, you know what? I'll nerf myself purposely so we can have a cool fight. You use fire, I'll use fire.
Right.
I'll hold myself, I'll limit myself. And that's actually made the fight more interesting and made it more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Seeing Jogo struggle, throwing out all the stops. We've never seen Jogo move like this. I mean, even against Gojo, he was outclassed, but he was breaking out moves that he didn't even show Gojo.
Yeah.
So Jogo was obviously moving on a completely different level. It made us really have a lot more respect for him because Sukuna was giving him praise. Sukuna said, listen, stand proud.
Yeah.
You were tough. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's me. I'm me. So you can't box with the King of Curses. And he knew that. But his level of, the movement was crazy. The speed, the technicality of the moves, different curses that we were seeing, and the animation looked beautiful. So I have to put that at my number 1 spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even the fact that the only goal was for him to hit him 1 time. That also was pretty, a cool feat to kind of dawn on.
Right, and one of my favorite scenes from that fight is probably when, there's people in the surrounding area.
Right.
And Sukuna's saying, guys, stay right there. Don't move until I tell you to move. And has Jogo's attack coming at him, and he's waiting to move out the way so they get hit. I'm like, listen, man, that's different. That is different. So,
that's our top 3 fights, y'all. Some honorable mentions. We know we got Mob versus Dimple this year. I think Mob season 3, they really wrapped that show up amazing. One of my favorite seasons of the year. We know we had Hell's Paradise taking it by storm with the MC. I forgot his name. Gabi Maro versus one of the little angel folks, the forest people. I mean, all that stuff was really, really impressive. But yeah, I think these 3 fights really kind of took the cake this year, had the most buzz. And, out of what we've been seeing in the past, I think we got a pretty good list. So,
yeah.
All right. With that, we'll see y'all next Sunday. Peace out.